Hey guys, welcome back. So today we got a 2011 Veracruz, Hyundai Veracruz. Customer complaint, flashing check engine light, and yeah. So 2 weeks ago, I already diagnosed this issue. Yeah, it has a misfire codes on the bank too. So that's on the front of the engine. So it's easier to do a swap, ignition coil, and spark plug, right? So it moved, and during my inspection, the spark plug was so bad. So I'm just gonna go through again here. Let me just, I'm using my aftermarket scan tool right now. We're just gonna check for fault codes. So I move the spark plug number 4 to number 2 and the ignition coil number 4 to number 6. So we got the number 6 misfire right now. And also before I got also a lean codes on both banks. So P0171 and P0174. On that P0171 and 174, while the engine was, idling and it was a misfiring, right? I was trying to spray some brake cleaner on the intake side, and the RPM changes, right? And sometimes the misfire will be gone and everything like that. So I also called the intake gaskets, and we have 200,000 kilometers there. So it's a good practice that, especially doing the spark plug at the back, right? We're removing the intake. It's called the intake gasket, especially with this high mileage here. So we're just gonna go to our data stream right now. Let me click misfire here. Misfire 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's okay. Let's graph that. Then I'm just gonna start the vehicle. So I can feel right now the misfire. And as I'll see our scan tool, that number 6 is misfiring bad. So we're gonna do a spark plug. I call all spark plug because I checked the other 2 spark plugs on number 2 and number 6. They were bad too. And I think, what was the brand of the name of the spark plug? I think it's a very, very cheap one. And I also called the ignition coil since it's very, very high mileage. I think it's best to recommend to the customer to replace also 6 ignition coil, even though we know that there's only one ignition coil that failed on this one, which is the number 4 ignition coil, right? So yeah, so we're gonna go under the hood, and yeah, we're gonna do some work. Okay, so I remove our cover here. So I was spraying around here because this is the whole intake, upper intake, and there's a lower intake going to the V on the engine, right? So I was spraying here and I saw some RPM change. That's why I called the gasket too. Note, on this style of intake, um, I thought this one whole gasket, right? So I just pressed one. I didn't know that they are separate. So I got only 2 gasket right now for 2 intake ports here, and you should ask for 3, right? I didn't know that. So let's hope for the best when we remove this guy. I hope we don't have any other gasket damage there. And yeah, so I'm just gonna blow some air here for now, take out some debris, and then we're gonna start with our front, or the bank too, spark plugs and ignition coil. Okay, so we're gonna remove this bracket first. And Then let's remove our connection on our ignition coil. So just in case, let's say I get a misfire, since we're so lucky that I was just getting a misfire from this bank. It's easy to swap. But what if you have a misfire at the back? How can you diagnose that correctly? So there's other ways, right? The long way is to remove it, inspect physically, and swap during that removal the ignition coil and the spark plug, or by using a scope. This is a two-wire ignition coil, so there's gonna be we can measure the primary by checking in the scope, oscilloscope, right? We can see the pattern there, and also by checking the wiring diagram too. They have common power feed going to the ignition coil. We can also use our amp clamp and see the ramp on the ignition coil. And if it's a short ignition coil, we can see a sudden rise of the ramp. So yeah, that's other way in diagnosing, if especially if the other ignition coils or the other spark plugs are buried behind the intake, right? So I'm gonna remove our ignition coil right now, 10 mm. Here's our misfiring cylinder, because this is coming from number 4. And as I compare from the ignition coil on the rest, this guy here is looks like it's melted, right? So you can also do visual inspection, right? And sometimes before, like the Hyundai Accent, they have this metal piece here. The spark will also jump from here, right? So the other way on those Hyundai Accent is when you remove the ignition coil, if you can see some markings here, that's most likely your issue of the misfiring. Now we're gonna remove our spark plug. I'm using a 5/8 socket here. Oh my god. Ah, that's tight. Okay. So let's grab our magnet. Number 2, number 4, and number 6. As you can see there, yeah, so the brand of this spark plug is Autolite, and you can see all the wear on the spark plug. So I'm gonna grab our new one. Okay, so this is the OEM plug using NGK IR Iridium. It's not a Hyundai, it's an NGK, right? But the Hyundai uses NGK. So just inspect your gap. Sometimes by parts doesn't realize that you just throw this box. Sometimes this guy will get bent, especially you don't have the protective cover here. Because inside the box, this guy is in here, right? So sometimes this one is missing, they just throw the box, this one got bent. So always inspect your spark plugs before you're installing them. And as in my other videos, don't drop the spark plug there. If you have a good socket that has a magnet or a rubber inside, start it by going in and just hand thread it. Or you don't have those magnetic socket, just use a rubber hose here. We're gonna start that. Then we're just gonna snug it. Okay. Okay. Then we're gonna torque this to 18 foot-pound. Okay. Let's torque to spec. Now we're gonna install our new ignition coil. Just in case if you're wondering, that's our part number for a Veracruz. Okay, the same thing. Before you install this, check your pins here, right? The male pins, they're not bent. Okay. And then we're just gonna install our bolts on this guy. Okay, so 1/3 of the repair is done. That's the easiest. We don't have to install this yet because we're gonna lift this harness, right? So next will be we're gonna start unplugging stuff, right? Whatever is on top of the intake, we're gonna start unplugging that. All the bolts that's holding it, like this harness here, we're gonna start removing it. So just put that aside. Okay. Just the the other challenging part here is just the removing the intake. But I think on this one, I'm not sure if I need to remove the whole thing or just flip it a little bit. I don't know if I made a video about it. Another spark plug on a Santa Fe V6. Okay. So take out your connection, take out your connection here in the power steering. Remove your all pressure switch here. I think this is an all pressure switch connector here. Okay. Your injector on the front. So use a 90-degree angle pick. Pull out the white tab first, right? Then you can push the tab. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's good. Got one more bolt here. Okay, so now we're gonna remove stuff here on our airbox because we're gonna access the throttle body. Okay, so I'm gonna remove this snorkel here, the intake, going to the airbox. Just plastic screws. put that aside for now. To be safe, you can also remove your battery, the whole thing. So let's remove that. So that we have more space here. Yeah. Okay. Now we're gonna remove our airbox assembly, 10 mm. There's 3 bolts there that's holding the assembly. And then we're gonna remove our mass airflow because this model still uses mass airflow. And then the newer models now on Hyundai, they have mass airflow and map. So I'm just moving out the tab on this guy. Okay. So I'm just unlocking this gray, gray tab. So that's loose. Now we're gonna move these hoses here. This one, be careful. This is plastic, so don't start clamping it. Because in my experience in Hyundai, I already broke one. So just be careful with that. Come on. Okay, that's good. Our pipe here. I have to remove that guy. Okay. And now to the throttle body, 10 mm. Okay. That's loose. And just pull this guy. Come on. Oh my God. Oh. That's loose. Oh my. Okay. So let's remove this side first. What do I do on this guy? Since our throttle body is connected with some coolant hose, usually I remove the throttle body so that I don't have to deal with the coolant later on. So let's do that. Okay, so 10 mm. There's 3 bolts in there. Oops. 2, 3. Okay. I'll put that lower a little bit. Just be careful because there's another bracket there. So usually there's another 12 mm there that holds this throttle body, but since that one is missing, so someone has already been here. Next, we're gonna go remove this vapor line here. Let's connect it to our purge valve. One break. Oh my god. Okay, so that's loose now. What else? You got this PCV hose that's from the valve cover at the back going to the intake. So that's gonna be a tricky one because the clamp is hiding. So you can take that off or we can leave it. You know what? Let's just leave it for now because I'm planning just to shove something on top at the bottom of this intake so that I don't have to fully remove the whole intake. Unless if there's no choice, yeah, we're gonna remove that. But yeah, there's another hose here. Let's go into the valve cover if you're planning to remove the whole intake. So this harness needs to come up a little bit. We're gonna remove the holding here, 10 mm to 10 mm. So it's loose now, as you can see that. Okay, and we got this hose here, an intake. So we have to be very careful on this. It's very brittle. So let me see if I can remove this guy from here. Because if it's hard, we'll just leave it so that we don't have to deal with this. Okay. So I'm just using the pick to go around inside the hose to break free whatever is in there and hope that it will loose. Okay, that's good. That's just a plastic nipple there. That's very brittle, so be careful on that. If you're not comfortable, just leave it. So we're gonna go on this side now. We got some connector bolt to our, what they call that, power steering line. So let's move the other side. Okay, so we're gonna remove this guy here. Remove this bolt here. You can leave this bolt or doesn't matter. We got another connector here. Oh man. Okay, that's out. Now I'm gonna remove our 10 mm there for our power steering line. Oops. Yeah, that's out. Now, these two connectors, make sure you know where it goes because this is our connection for our injector, our oxygen sensor. Previous models, they have the same color and they go in on, oh my God. They go in, they can be interchangeable, right? Why so tight, man? Okay. Okay. So one. Gray is on top. Black is at the bottom. So if I'm gonna put the gray here. Can it go in? Yeah, that can go in, and he heard that it clicks. So make sure you don't you don't interchange that. In this case, on this model, they color coded gray on top, black at the bottom. The same thing on the other side there. Ah, good. Now on this intake, this connector here that's holding, there's a 14 mm at the back. So there's a 14 mm here. So it's just there, right? I'm gonna remove that first. So I'm using a flex, what do you call that? Ratchet, and and a deep 14 socket. Okay, that's good. It looks like everything is out now. So we're gonna start removing these guys here. So there's all 10 mm. Oh, another note here. This pipe, from the valve cover, there's a pipe there in the middle that's on the way on the bolt on the intake. So you have to remove that first. You need a tin socket 10 mm. That goes in there, okay. Be careful not to drop that. A small bolt. Same thing on the other side. Oh, almost. Okay. So that's loose now, and you can see the bolts on our intake. So now, start removing outside to inside. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. What's up?
You know the sales guy last night?
Okay, so we remove all our bolts and 2 nuts. Just remove this guy, remove that guy, remove that guy. So now we should be able to move this intake now. So let's just be careful on this guy. Let's go up. Yeah, let's go up. Keep in mind that we didn't remove the PCV hose there at the back, so we just have to do it like this. Okay, so now we can clearly see our ignition coil there. So let me grab a wood first, or a what do you call it, pry bar. Let's put it aside there. Clean your intake ports there, right? And also cover it while doing the repair on the spark plugs, because you don't want anything going in there. Just like that, just cover it. So now we can see clearly our spark plugs at the back, and we can remove that. So remove first our ignition coils. Let's remove this connector here. Where's my flat screwdriver? Oh my, that's tight, man. Oh my god. Okay, that's the farthest end. Put that aside for now. Here's the middle ignition coil. Everything is brittle here, so just be careful. Okay, let's remove this. Now we're gonna loosen our spark plugs. Oh. Okay, that's loose. Oi. Last. Oh. Come on, man. Why you got stuck there? Okay. Now we're gonna remove our spark plugs. Oops. Your magnet. Same thing. So they did the spark plug at the back too, but using this cheap spark plug. Okay. And same thing, double check the gap on the new spark plugs that you're installing. Especially this back side here, because you don't want to come back again thinking that there's something wrong on what you installed. Well, in this case, removing the intake going here at the back is not that bad, right? But still the time that you're gonna be wasting coming back again. Okay. Then we're gonna torque them to spec. Okay, all three spark plugs are torqued to spec. Now we're gonna install our ignition coils. Ignition coil here. Two, three. Okay, so we did our spark plug ignition coil replacement. All we have to do now is put this back, our connectors here. Okay, that all clicks. Now on our um, gasket here in the intake, I know that the gasket just came in one, so just as much as possible, I'm inspecting right now here. I don't see anything cut on the gasket, right? So I'm gonna replace the middle one here. So that's our old one. So I'm just gonna replace the middle one. The side doesn't have any cut, or it's the same condition as like our old one, right? No signs of cut, it's just oily there. But yeah, so if you're gonna do this job, it says in the parts catalog, there's three. Don't think about it's a whole set of gasket. It's gonna be like this. So one each. So you need three because it's a V6. So now you're gonna put this back. You dry that up. You clean your other gasket on the intake. I'm gonna put this back. And then carefully, oops. Okay, so that's in. And then put this in first. The 14 mm here. Where's that? Just start it first. Just hand thread it until this bracket for these oxygen sensors are locked in position. Okay. Now we're gonna put our bolt back here, our intake. I think that's why too we got lean codes in this. That's when I was removing these bolts here. They're kind of loose because you need to go back in there and torque it to spec. So I'm gonna snug it first, inside to out. Okay. Torque them to 10 foot-pound inside. Oh, I need extension. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7. And then we're gonna tight our, where's the 14? Oh, here. We're gonna tight our back bolt there. Okay, that's good. And let's go to our throttle body and let's install that. So at our throttle body, you have to go on that. Make sure your gasket is still in there, right? 3 bolts. Now we're just gonna snag them. Okay. And usually before you snag them, if your 12 mm bolt there is still not missing, so you have to thread that in the way we did on the intake. So just hand tight, or just start with the bolt on the throttle body and screw in your 12 mm there too, because it's not gonna line up if you're gonna start torquing this throttle body. In this case, we don't have that 12 mm there. That one is missing. Maybe they drop it somewhere. But anyway, it's not end of the world if you don't have that. So we're just gonna torque this throttle body. 10 foot-pound. I think this one, if you really want to be in spec, I think it's at 8.7 or 9 foot-pound. But I just do my rule of thumb, 10 mm bolt, 10 foot-pound. So anyway, I'm gonna put the rest of all that we removed earlier. Don't forget your hose here. You have 2 bolts there. And then it's just all plugging back in, right? And we're gonna go and check our scan data again. And yeah, there should be no misfiring on this one. And yeah, we put our ignition coil. Last thing, we have to put this back on before you forget. Your ignition coils here, right? Don't forget about that. And yeah, and let's come back later. All right, guys, so I put everything back together. Just make sure all your connectors are all plugged in. So I'm just gonna. Okay, so there's no codes because we remove our battery. Let's go back. Let's go our data stream and click again the misfires. And also, wait, let's go back. I need to click our. Um, is there a fuel trims here? Let's see. Okay, short-term fuel trim. Let's check that. Okay, and graph. I know this is a first startup, but let's just check. So far, I don't feel any misfire. Our counter shows cylinder number 6. It just got a hit on one misfire there, but it went down. Unlike before, it was just climbing up, right? So that's pretty good. That's fixed. So all I have to do is just test drive this, bring it to trip operating temperature, and just double check everything. But as of right now, our misfire issue is fixed. No flashing check engine light there, unlike earlier. So yeah, that's pretty straightforward repair. Spark plug in the ignition coil replacement and a Veracruz V6. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video and let me know what you guys think and see you again next time. Thank you for watching.